Where are youth today? Who is influencing them? And what standards are they accepting? Josh McDowell and the Why Wait campaign are committed to equipping you in this battle for the sexual purity of our children.
We are going to be discussing together how to help your child say no to sexual pressure. I want to use this first period together to help you to understand what our young people are going through, what is helping to condition them, and we see the results of that condition in the home. In 1 Chronicles 12:32, the Word of God says, "They understood the times in order to know what to do." In order to understand the times, we need to realize that almost every young person today has two fears. One, the fear you'll never be loved. Second, the fear you'll never be able to love. Because almost all of our young people within the church and out of the church, they have those two fears. I'll never be loved and never be able to love. You say, well, how do we get those fears? I believe we get those fears because in our society, in culture today in the world, love models are breaking down. And we don't grow up and reach puberty and our bodies start to develop and we automatically learn how to love. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about sharing, caring, intimacy, vulnerability, being real. We learn how to love through seeing it modeled. But when you have the breakdown of that earthly model, you have a generation like we have today, growing up not knowing how to give or to receive love. Then, in order to understand the times, in order to know what to do, we need to understand the second thing that I tell young people in high school assemblies and university audiences. The second is this, and I'll say every one of you, 100%, you want a relationship that will last. Our teens are crying out for relationships that will last. Research shows the number one desire of a younger teenager, 13, 14, and 15, is a happy home life. Do you know what the number one fear is? The number one fear of a lower age teenager and going down to about 7 years of age, the number one fear is a loss of a parent through divorce. Not death, through divorce. It's often easier for a child to lose a parent through death than divorce for several reasons. The main reason is this. When you lose a parent through death, you don't feel responsible. You'll hardly ever meet a teenager, a younger age child, who feels responsible for losing a parent through death. But when you lose a parent through divorce, you almost always feel responsible. Now, normally, they had nothing to do with it. Nothing whatsoever, but try to convince them. They are crying out for relationships that will last. And if you have a very secure home, you need to be aware of this. Because many of the anxieties and the fears that will come out of a divorce situation are starting to affect kids, especially younger kids, in other families that are two-parent families. One of the greatest sources of security today for a child is different than when most of us here were growing up. When most of you were growing up, it was the love of your parents for you. But because of where culture is today, it's switched. Now one of the greatest sources of security is not knowing my mom and dad loves me, but knowing that my father loves my mother and are committed to each other. When your kids hear you argue, the impact on them is far greater than the impact of your parents on you. Why? Because when most of you were growing up, you didn't immediately think divorce. And now, no matter how secure the home, one of the first things a child thinks, my dad's going to leave my mom like Jackie's dad did. And this is why I think it's more important today as parents to resolve conflict as fast as we can and let our children see how we resolve conflict. And let's face it, we all have conflict. First thing I tell young people, you have two fears. One, the fear you'll never be loved. Second, the fear you'll never be able to love. Second thing is that every one of them want a relationship that will last. And then the third thing I would tell young people today that's true about them. You don't want sex as much as you want intimacy. You want someone who cares. Our young people are crying out for something real in the area of intimacy. But we have allowed our culture, the media, even the educational system to condition our young people that the only way you find intimacy is through the physical. Two two of the three greatest influencers of a child today on who they are and what sex is and everything is based on fiction, peers and television. A 20-year-old in our society today has seen on an average 93,000 acts of sex on television. But here's the catch. You almost never see anyone on television pay the price of illicit sex. Let me show you. I want you to respond here. How many of you here has ever seen somebody on television get a sexually transmitted disease? No one. That's fiction. Today, just today, 33,000 Americans will get a sexually transmitted disease. That's 12 million this year. The director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, representative of the American Association of Sex Therapists and Marriage Counselors, and others are saying that every time you have sex with someone today, every time, you have to have going through your mind, you're not only having sex with that person, but everyone they had sex with, plus all of their partners for the last 10 years. Do you know what that means? A husband goes out, he has sex with a prostitute. And then he goes home, has sex with his wife. His wife just had sex with her husband, the prostitute, and everyone they had sex with, and all their partners for the last 10 years. Do you know what that means to your children? And our kids are saying, we want intimacy. And the culture is saying, you find it through sex. Sex is not a private act between two individuals. As the Bible has pointed out years ago, it's an act between two individuals that has an awesome public, emotional, economical, political, social, and spiritual ramifications. If I was backed in the corner and could only give one reason, I don't think you can. It's so complex, culture today and society and young people and parenting, that you can't give any one reason for anything. But if you had to, then I'd have to say this. Inattentive parents. Inattentive parents. Now, it doesn't mean that if you're an attentive parent, spend a lot of time with your children, pay a lot of attention, that you're not going to have problems, that your kids aren't going to rebel. It doesn't mean that at all. But I think it does mean this, that if you are an attentive parent, you've got an edge. You've got an edge to deal with them, especially when they become teenagers. We did a study, around 5,000. Now, these are church young people. Ask them to write in 50 words or less what you would like to say to your parents if you could. I wish my parents knew what the relationship between my boyfriend and me really is, so that I could have someone to talk to when I don't know whether or not something is right or wrong. Dad, I wish that my father knew how to say, I love you. Just once would be enough. I determined that I'm not going to be the same as you, but I'm afraid that I will be. I forgive you, Dad. I wish we'd gotten to know each other as father and daughter. When I would come home from school and want to spend time with you and get to know you, you never had time. This is a classic. Remember, 50 words or less. Mom and Dad, I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I get this one memorized. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. Please love each other. Please love each other.